Hey guys, so for this video I came up with a bunch of questions. I came up with 3 and I put them on my Instagram. I do have a thing up so you guys can ask questions for a video. I came up with 3, put them on there, and I have a bunch more that I'm going to be answering and do like a fun little Q&A. Pretty soon I'm going to do another fun video, but another day. And so yeah, the first question, all of these were from me. So the first one is, do you put your friends before your family? I would say no and yes. It depends on the situation and how we're saying it. Like if it comes down to where, it depends on the situation. Like if you're talking. Wait, what is that? My one. Blah blah blah. Don't know, but it depends on the situation. Like, if you're talking like, I'm the type of like, if you're talking like, oh, like who I'd rather go to and like actually talk about something, and then I would say friends. Like, but if it comes down to like, if I had to pick between like my family or my friends, that would be a really hard decision, and I feel like it would be hard, but ultimately my family would win. I feel like due to that, my family, you know. Well, it really depends on the situation, though. So, like, that's my answer. Like, so the next question that I also put is, what is your new album about? Okay, this is a good one. I'm currently working on an album, and each song is very unique. I'm actually, after this, adding something to the song. I kind of took a break from music, and I still kind of plan to take a little bit more of a break just until after next week. Because I have dance on Sunday, because I got scholarship for the Sunday class. And then my sister might be coming this next week. So like a couple things. But my new album, I can't wait for you to hear it. There's so many great songs. I kind of started working on it. One line that I did come up with like last night was, there's a line in it that says like nobody knows you the way I understand you. And then there's also another line right before that says, I don't, like something about how like I don't deserve you or something because you're so perfect. I'm gonna check it again, but like I can't wait for you to hear the next song and the new album. And it's really awesome. I kind of can't reveal too many details because I don't really know too many details. Then this is your crush a boy or a girl? It's fine with whatever. I just want to know. Now here's the thing. I came up with this question, and because the reason I realized like I totally support like LGBT community. At first I didn't know what it was up until like JoJo came out and then like Rachel Ballinger, and then I learned what it was. But like my crush currently, which is the person that, and I say currently meaning right now and hopefully forever, or hopefully, actually no, I don't hope forever. I hope that like now and then like in a couple like anytime now, like eventually like not having a crush and just having like a boyfriend or something, you know, but I always want to like be with my crush, like that's what I'm saying. But right now, he is a boy. A very cute and a very hot boy. And that one, Now, I just came up with a question that seems really good. We could, like, what is something that, like, you often, like, for me, I feel like I often talk about, like, in songs, there's this one word that always comes to mind whenever I, like, trying to, like, make a song about, like, losing my crush or something. For some reason, I always want to, like, put the, like, something to do with, like, saying, like, my crush is hot. And that is, like, one thing that, like, the question part is, like, oh, what is one thing about your crush that you, like, say describes him pretty easily. And that's definitely one thing. There's a lot of things I feel like. Another question that I came up with, which by the way, I will do a part 2 with your guys' question, and I kind of just put this, like, poll thing up recently, and so, like, yeah. But, I mean, I love my crush. Like, he's generally amazing, but, like, so I figured I would just answer some questions that I came up with. Also, I did put a lot of assumptions, and let me turn that off. But I'm gonna wait until you guys give me some assumptions too. So, like, go to my Instagram. You should be able to, unless it's been like 24 hours or something. But, like, for me, like, one thing is that my crush, for sure, like, I love him so much. But for me, like, another question that I came up with is, who was the first person to know that you had a crush? Or in my case, I'm going with me. I'm gonna say me because, like, I'm, like, the first person that, like, knew I had a crush. And that, honestly, the weird thing is most, like, I feel like it's, like, kind of normal or, like, somewhat normal for, like, kids and teenagers and people, like, not to tell their parents, like, for a while, or just not immediately tell them, like, they tell their friends, but that was not the case. It was and it wasn't. It was kind of like 50-50. Like, my dad was the first person. He was, like, the first person, and what actually happened was I waited a year. Like, so, met my crush when I was 7, hated him week 1. Because week 1, I also feel like week 1 was kind of bad for me to assume that I hated him. And kind of also, like, and the reason I say that was because I kind of feel like at that time, I was kind of the person where, like, kind of the person that no one, like, one thing that I hated about myself about that time, which is bad to, like, hate yourself, but, like, one thing that I did not like that I look back on now and I'm like, why was I like that? I would judge people. Like, off of, like, meeting them one time for, like, 10 seconds. So, like, if I was around someone for even just 10 seconds, I would immediately judge them and, like, I determined if I liked them or not. Not really getting to know them. And that was something with my crush. But because that first week, it was a lot. It was, like, a lot to take in. And I kind of was, like, I always been, like, when music class, I was definitely the person, like, whenever there was someone new, I would keep my distance. And I feel like what happened was I wasn't able to keep my distance, and that makes sense. Because we had 2 new people. We had my crush as, like, a new, like, student or person, like, joining music class and stuff, like, doing music class. And we had a new assistant, and I couldn't keep my distance from the new assistant. And yeah, like, that new assistant, like, I have mixed feelings on. Like, I didn't hate her, actually. She was probably one of my favorite assistants that we ever had, considering I never connected with any of the assistants. Like, we would get a new assistant and I wouldn't connect with them one bit, have no interest in them. Then, but like, was like the only one that I somewhat connected with, and I never connected with. I feel like I was more like, okay, we can be fine. Like, I was on the fine level. And for me back then, if you made it to the fine level, unless you were family, it was like, I'd be thankful for that, because that was a miracle if you got that far with me. Now, if you were family, it was kind of like, even then, I feel like if you were family, just to make it that far was amazing. Yeah, fun fact, I never talked to my brother growing up. Like, he would come over and I would just sit in silence or, like, not speak. And then, even now, I feel like I'm still, like, now I changed a lot, and now I'm, like, but now I won't get into full conversation. Yeah, like, I'm still at that level and stuff, so, but I definitely have improved a lot. But one thing was that, like, I couldn't avoid the new assistant, and the reason why was because usually I would just, like, stand on the opposite side of the room or something, but this one assistant I couldn't, because my dad kind of did something without really asking me. He eventually asked me and stuff, which was that all of a sudden I'd get done with music class, and it was like one of the first so, like, get done with music class, and it was one of the first weeks. Sorry, I was looking up there, and I heard a sound of like a bug or something outside. But, like, I couldn't avoid the new assistant get done with music class. And, like, me and my dad are, like, I'm waiting and stuff. And then one thing led to another. Where like, we got in the car, or, like, one thing led to another, and, like, she hands my dad the paper, and I'm like, huh? Like, I'm confused. I'm, like, at this point, 7. Like, just barely 7. Because I met my crush when I was 6, almost 7. Like, I was almost 7. And then one thing led to another, and then, like, pretty much we get in the car, and I'm like, what's going on? Because she's like, see you next week, and I'm like, even though I knew I would see her next week for music class, and then he's like, yeah, you needed to pick a kid to, like, I work with, to, like, as an assignment for college or something, because these assistants, all of our assistants were people that were going to college, and they would come join us for a couple weeks for, like, 2 or 3 months, and then just to, like, learn what it is to, like, be a music class teacher and stuff like that. And then, like, I, basically went and we were in the car, and then he went like, yeah. So, like, she basically had to pick someone to work with, and pretty much as an assignment for a couple of weeks for college, and she picked me, and I'm like, in my mind, I just kind of went like, okay, but at the same time, because I went like, okay, like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I didn't think in my mind anything would happen. I kind of just thought like, oh, like, I I would get there. We might do a few little things, and then that would be that. I made that mistake. Now, like, going back on it, I'm like, that was a mistake. Because it led me to a situation that I was not comfortable. You could tell I was not. Because then, what happened was this. So it was like one of the last weeks. We had like 2 more weeks left of me like working with her. And this was not a fun situation for me, which was basically, so we were like just doing like our normal stuff, which was like playing around with like beanbags or just like playing with different things, and then all of a sudden, and she's like, I'm Lolly, I would like you to meet a friend, and in my mind, I went like, okay, like this seems cool, like not thinking it would be a person, because a couple of times she was like, oh, I want you to meet a friend. And then it was like a paper plate or something with a face drawn on it, like different things. So, and then the guy walks in and I'm like, she's like, okay, and so you're going to say hi to him and we're going to like work on like getting you to talk with him. And I'm like, bad mistake there. And after that, I just kind of, like, the next week, I was legitimately, like, I wasn't cool with it. The next week, I did everything in my power. Everything. Just to get out of going. And then, like, I threw fits and I finally just, like, explained everything. And I explained that, like, hey, that guy's situation was not the most comfortable one. And then, because at first my mom was like, either you tell us what's going on and why you don't want to go, or else you don't go to music class. So then I kind of like got there. Like, so what happened was that I told them like, oh, the guy's situation was not the most comfortable. And then I got there and then it clicked in my mind, oh wait, we didn't show up. We forgot to like call. Like, she can be asking questions. And then, luckily she didn't. And, like, I worked with her one other time after that. But then, yeah, like, it was, like, done. But for me, like, overall, I don't even know why we got on that point. But, you know, like, anyway, like, back then, like, yeah, I was not most, like, with her, I definitely didn't click the most. Now, with my crush, I kind of, like, oh, wait, now I remember how we got there, like, and it was really dumb of me to judge people, like, back then, like, or, like, what I thought of them, like, off of, like, the first 10 seconds, and with my crush, I feel like that's what I did, because, like, week 1, I hated him, like, to an extreme point, and then got in the car, and then my dad's like, oh, like, so what did you think about, like, the new person, and I'm like, don't like one bit, and he, like, little did we know when I said that, little did we know that, like, 2 weeks later, I was gonna have a crush on him, and then, like, be in love, and all of this stuff. But, like, yeah, that's, and then he's like, well, it's sad that his medicine worked. And then, like, I just kind of felt bad because then I realized, oh, wait, I judged him and it was really wrong of me to do that. Like, really, really wrong. So, yeah. then, like, another thing, like, for me, it was interesting. Now, it's just wrong to judge people, but then week 2, I'm, like, knowing my crush, I went in, and with the mindset, I'm gonna give him a chance. Like, I'm gonna give him a second chance, like a redo. Like, the first one, like, doesn't count. Like, I'm gonna give him a second chance, and he was very much up in my face, like, that first weekend. It was like, in that moment, like, he was up. Like, week 1, he was very much up in my face, and, like, I'm, like, kind of, like, just make it in. But then, and looking back on that, like, I feel like in that moment, I also kind of knew that I was gonna have a crush on him one day and stuff. But, like, I was in the point where I knew I just didn't want to admit it. But then, yeah, then week 2, things went much better. Didn't absolutely hate him. Didn't like I wasn't like in love with him yet, but like I didn't hate him. Like, then week 3, I was in love, and I waited a year because I wanted to make sure that was real, because I was still kind of up in my toddler brain, and that makes sense. Like, I wasn't aware of what was going on. Like, I knew what I didn't like, and I knew what I liked. And it was like a situation, and for me, like, and so, yeah, like, it was a thing. So I waited a year, and I felt like that was, like, I feel like I definitely should have, like, gave it a little bit of time, but I feel like a year was too much, because now I'm like, well, I waited a year, and that year, in part of, like, that year, I could have told him, and that makes sense, and then I won't be in the situation and I'm in now, missing him to death. And then how I actually told my dad, he was the first person to know. We got in the car, and he's like, how did music class go? Because that was a normal thing, and I, like, told him, and then, like, I told him how music class, when I said, and I have a crush. Like, I straight up just told him. And I wasn't, like, nervous or anything. And he's like, who? And I'm like, I told him who it was. I'm not going to say my crush's name, because it's his choice if he wants to be a part of social media or not. And if he doesn't, great. If he does, great. And that is one thing that I am going to say right here, like right now, which is that when I find my crush, if he doesn't want me talking about our relationship, because I will make it happen one day. I'm hoping that, like, I'll date him one day and stuff, and hopefully, like, for a really long time, and then I don't think past that. But, like, but I do love him a lot. If he doesn't want it out on social media, I'm not going to put it out on social media. If he's fine with it, then I'll share stuff. But, like, that can be more in his decision. And that makes sense. And you just have to understand that it's not going to be my decision. And, like, if he wants only some parts, then everything that I post will, like, about us and stuff, and about him, will, like, be things that, like, I get approval from him and stuff, like, because I'm not going to, like, post certain things and then, like, cause something, like, but yeah. So, yeah, it was interesting. Then, I'm just enjoying life right now. Like, I really do miss him, but, like, yeah, for me, like, sorry that the video isn't much. Like, I had a different video plan, but then I never got to, like, setting it up and stuff and a bunch of stuff. Also, it didn't seem like that good of a video. Like, what to do, like, I will, like, here, let me know on my Instagram if you actually want to see, like, a video finding my fidgets, where, like, kind of like a hide and seek game, but with, like, fidgets. So, like, I'll, like, have my dad, like, hide all of my fidgets throughout, like, my bedroom, my parents' bedroom, like my parents' like bathroom and like the like front bathroom or something. Like I'll just pick a couple rooms and have my dad hide my fidgets and make a video of like finding them, like a scavenger hunt thing for fidgets. And then I'll rate each of my fidgets. Because I will make that video you guys want to see. But if you don't, like, I don't, then I won't. But, like, majority wins is what I'm going to say. So, like, if nobody wants it, then, and, like, let's say, like, one person wants that video and nobody else does, then I won't make it. But, like, if, like, 5 people want it and, like, one person says they don't, then I'll make it, like, but you have to, like, let me know. Like, that's the thing. And, like, if you, like, don't want it or you do want it, like, primarily let me know. And if you don't let me know, then you're, like, vote or, like, then you won't really matter. Like, and you won't be part of the decision. Because I'm, like, just, and I say this because sometimes I'll have fans that, like, they watch my stuff, but they don't ever, like, DM me or anything on Instagram, and then I'm like, well, I kind of don't know unless you tell me yes or no if you want the video. I just wanted to do, like, answer a couple questions I came up with, and also, like, to talk about my crush, because I really miss him. And it's getting hard because I miss him, but at the same time, I'm gonna get through it, and I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna check to see if you guys will have, like, any assumptions, or if there's, like, what the situation is. So, nothing yet, but, wait, okay, I already liked it, okay. I'm excited because sometime I'm gonna make a music video. I gotta finish the song though, because right now I don't have the song that far done. Like, I have a little bit of something, but, like, it's not done yet, and there's a bunch of, like, situations. Also, there's a big scene in the music video that I want to figure out. I want to do, like, a rehearsal type thing where I want to go over and then, but I have to figure out how I'm going to film that on my phone. And the reason, you guys won't be seeing it, but the reasoning is because I have connections, and I figured for once in my life I'm going to use my connections. And I'm going to, like, send it to, like, I'm going to do primarily, I'm going to send it to Miranda, one of my dance teachers. And I might do Angela. like a couple like connections I have, and I'm gonna pick one and send it to them and just tell them like, hey, can you watch it and tell me what I need to fix? Cause I'm making a music video. Want your opinion on this section? Yeah, that's cool that I have connections though. Like I'm generally really excited.